everyone, my name is Amber. I am originally from Virginia, where I worked as a director at the Culpeper Colonnade Chick-fil-A, and now I'm in the training development program here at the Support Center. Chick-fil-A has been handcrafting biscuits since 1986, and they have been an important breakfast item from both a sales and menu perspective. And biscuits are a fan favorite that our guests crave, so it's important that they're always all right. However, the complexity of making biscuits a consistent product has posed some challenges for team members and customer satisfaction. Here is some great news. We've had a successful market test, and biscuit making improvements will launch soon. This is going to reduce complexity and increase your restaurant's ability to serve high quality, consistent scratch biscuits. The purpose of this video today is to give an overview of procedure, updates, and changes, to modify skills to apply use of new tools, and finally to evaluate and solve for biscuit issues. I'm joined today by Heidi Schneider. Heidi is a trained chef, and she comes to us from the Port Charlotte Chick-fil-A. Welcome, so happy to have you.
Thanks, it's good to be here.
So keep in mind, everything that we talk about today can be found in greater detail on Pathway, and our Sidekick and troubleshooting guide will also be updated. All right, what do we need to get started? Let's talk about all these incredible tools on the table in front of us.
All right, so what's new is we have our new bag sizes.
Okay.
We have the single batch and the double batch. The single is designed to make 1 pan of biscuits. The double is designed to make 2 pans of biscuits.
Great.
And depending on the volume of your store, you'll get one of these.
One or the other?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
We have our new measuring cup with the single and double batch lines, so no more measuring.
No more memorizing random numbers.
Yes.
That is awesome.
We have our hex roller to make many biscuits at once.
Okay.
And our single hex cutter for smaller amounts of dough.
Awesome. Well, this hex roller looks incredible. I cannot wait to get started. All right, let's get started. Heidi, what is our first step?
So the first step is to prepare our ice chilled water.
Okay.
So you'll need your dispenser, your thermometer, and your spoon and measuring cup.
All right.
First, you're gonna fill your dispenser all the way to the top with ice.
Okay.
And then you're gonna fill it with water about 1 inch from the top.
All right.
You're then gonna stir the water.
And what is stirring the water doing for us?
Stirring makes sure the whole dispenser is at the same temperature.
Okay.
Sometimes the bottom can be a little too warm, so your water won't be below that 40 degrees.
All right, stirring to make sure the water at the bottom stays within temp. Got it. All right, so talk to me about why 40 degrees or lower is so important.
So cold water means cold dough.
Okay.
And you want your dough to be cold because if it's too warm, it's gonna be really hard to work with. It's gonna be sticky, it's gonna stick to your hex roller, it's gonna stick to your hands, and then you'll be tempted to use way too much flour.
All right, so this helps us have an easier job of rolling out our biscuits, really.
Correct.
And it helps with quality.
Yes.
Awesome.
Here's a biscuit that was made with warm water.
Okay.
And you can see how it's kind of smooth on top and doesn't give you that desired texture.
It looks a little bit sad, like he's wilted. All right, so that is our first step in making biscuits. Make sure you maintain that ice chilled water. All right, so we've prepared our ice chilled water. Let's jump into mixing our dough.
Okay, so today we're gonna use our double batch.
Okay.
We already pre-filled our measuring cup to the double line.
Perfect. Make sure it's below 40.
Correct. And I already set my mixer speed to 1.
Okay. Otherwise it kind of blows up all over the place, doesn't it?
Yes, always check your mixer speed.
All right.
And the timer is 25 to 30 seconds. Unless you're high altitude, you'll have a different mix time.
And we can check out Pathway for that information.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm gonna throw this away while you do the check.
I'm just gonna add our water.
All right. We're lining up our magnets for safety.
And start the timer.
All right, so while this is mixing, what are we looking for specifically?
So mixing dough is very visual. That 25 to 30 seconds is just a range. You really just want to make sure the dough is pulling away from the edge and forming a dough, and the center isn't sticky or wet.
Okay, so like you said, very visual and making sure we're staying with the mixer whenever it's on and not just walking away.
Correct.
Awesome.
So I'm going to stop it there a little early.
All right.
And since our dough is mixed, I'm just gonna go ahead and set our timer for 30 minutes for that 30-minute hold time.
Great.
You don't wanna make more than what you're gonna use in that 30 minutes.
Great, so there you have it, mixing our dough, and when we come back, we'll talk about rolling it out. Now that our dough is finished mixing, let's jump into patting it out.
All right, first we're gonna lightly dust our surface.
All right.
We're just gonna gently tap the sifter.
Nice and light. We're doing an Atlanta snow, not a Colorado snow.
Correct.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna leave a little on the side just to dust my hands.
Okay. And will you talk to us about the bag sizes? What does that do for us when it comes to removing dough from the bowl?
So since we're using a double batch, we're gonna remove half of the dough from the bowl. If we were using a single, we could go ahead and pull out the whole thing.
All right, so it's made just single batch. You know you're gonna take it all out and put it on the table.
Correct.
Awesome.
That helps control how much you're using.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you use too much, you'll get too much excess and rework.
All right, and we're limiting the rework.
Yes.
2 nice scoops. All right.
Gonna lightly dust the top of the dough.
Okay.
And then we're gonna pat it out.
All right, and I notice you're using your palms. Does it matter which part of your hand you're using as you're pressing out the dough?
You wanna use your palms because you want it to be an even 1 to 1.5 inches.
Okay.
Sometimes if you use your fingers, you have that tendency to dig in and make an uneven surface.
Gotcha. So, palms.
Right.
Got it.
We're then gonna fold the sides and have them
right.
meet in the middle.
And what is folding doing for us?
Folding makes it easier to roll out so you get that shape you want.
Yeah.
Also, if you fold incorrectly, especially during when you add rework, you'll get an uneven surface, just like this biscuit right here.
Okay, so that's due to too much rework and improper folding?
Yes.
Can you talk to us about the amount of flour you're adding as you're patting and folding your dough?
You always want to add as little as possible. Adding too much flour will result in a heavy, dense biscuit, and you'll have a lower yield.
All right, so as little flour as possible. But remember, all of this detailed information can be found on Pathway. There you have it. That's our procedure for folding our dough. All right, so we have our folded dough in front of us, and now we're gonna get started on rolling.
Okay. First, I'm gonna lightly dust our roller with flour.
All right, we're doing that away from our dough.
Correct. You don't want to add too much flour to the dough.
Great.
And I'm gonna start by going side to side first.
Okay, so this is very different. We used to start going up and down. Now we're starting left to right.
Yes.
So why are we going left to right first now?
This will help you create that width you want. You want the width of the dough to be about the same as the hex cutter.
Okay.
This is because if it's too wide, you'll have too much excess that'll go into rework. If it's too narrow, you'll have too many partial biscuits that'll go into rework as well.
Okay, so why are we trying to avoid so much rework?
Too much rework results in a tough, dense biscuit.
Okay, and I imagine it has more of that flour on it from before because it's not fresh dough anymore.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So a good trick I like to use is just put my 2 fingers here to help me identify what that width is.
Okay, when you're using this roller. Got it. All right, will you talk to us about the pressure that you're applying on this roller as you roll it out?
Yes, you want to do light, even pressure. I like to keep my fingers raised just to help me not push down as hard.
Okay, so no Harley hands.
Yes, pushing down too hard will tear the dough, and you'll start to see that on the top of your biscuits.
Oh, like when it has that rip
Yeah.
look? Okay, got it. Nice and light. Awesome. And we're rolling it out to a 1/2 inch thick.
Yes.
So we got our risers.
Yep, the risers will stop you from going any thinner.
Perfect. All right. And if we ever have little problem spots, do we just add a little bit of flour to our roller, to the dough?
Add to your roller, but you can also take a bit on your fingers and just tap if there's any really excessive sticky spots.
Great.
Okay, so now I'm gonna lightly dust the hex roller.
Hex roller, okay. I'll move this out of your way. This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
Yes. So I'm just gonna lightly dust this.
Yeah.
This will help prevent sticking.
Okay. And what are some of the common causes of sticking?
If your hex roller is dirty, you'll see like the little leftover biscuit dough from your previous batches. It'll stick.
Having
if your
that
dough,
buildup.
if your dough is too warm, it'll stick as well, or any undermixed.
Yeah. Okay, great. And I notice you're knocking off some of the flour. So what part of the hex roller are we really aiming for to get that flour on?
You really want it to just be on the edges right here.
Okay.
That's the part where it'll be the cutting. You don't want too much in the center
on the top,
because that'll leave too much flour on the top of your biscuits.
Great. All right, this is it. This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
So I like to leave about 4 inches on either side of the table.
Okay.
Just so I have that room to roll.
All right.
And when you're rolling, you want to do a swift, even motion with even pressure as well.
Swift and even.
Yes.
Okay.
You want pressure all the way through because sometimes you won't cut all your biscuits if you let up at the end.
Okay. Can you go too fast?
Yes.
Okay.
Going too fast, all your biscuits will start to fly off the table.
Okay.
Going too slow, most of them will stick to the roller.
Okay.
So
just finding that happy medium.
Yes.
Okay.
It's all about practice. There you go.
Oh, that was beautiful. Not even stuck.
None stuck. A few sticking is okay. So two or three biscuits should be okay.
Awesome. That looked great.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take the sides, all the excess dough, and leave it for our rework. And any partial biscuits. So anything that's not a full hex. See this one right here?
Yeah.
It's not a full hex. I'm gonna put that in our rework pile.
All right. And you'll notice we're keeping our rework away from our flour. And keep in mind, flour is a tool, it's not an ingredient. All right, so we cut it with our hex roller. I noticed we still have our single hex cutter. When should we be using this?
This is mostly for small amounts of dough.
Okay.
You really want to use the hex roller as much as you can with the larger amounts, just because it's so much easier and faster once you get the hang of it.
That's true, it was very fast. So mainly for my rework?
Yeah.
Awesome. And remember, everything we're discussing today can be found on Pathway in greater detail. And coming up, we are going to be baking some biscuits. So we've used the hex roller to cut out our biscuits, and we've gone ahead and placed them onto our baking pans. Heidi is going to talk to us about the placement of the biscuits on the pan now that they're shaped like hexagons.
Okay, so here we have our biscuits within the 30-minute hold time. Just a reminder, that started as soon as they were done mixing.
As soon as they were done.
And placing them, we're putting them tip to tip, and then side to side.
Okay, so side to side, and they're still touching, and it looks like our tips are touching as well.
This is the most efficient way to put them on the pan while maintaining their shape.
All right, and we're still gonna go short edge and long edge before we fill in the center?
Correct.
Awesome, that stays the same. Let's head to the oven.
Okay, we're gonna put these in our preheated oven, and we're gonna alternate levels.
Okay, every other shelf.
And then halfway through the baking process, we're gonna rotate and then switch the shelf.
All right, so we have our timer. So talk to me about rotating it in the oven. Why are we doing that?
We do that to get more even cooking and a more even color throughout the biscuits.
Okay.
Sometimes different parts of the oven can be a different temperature.
All right, and I imagine that gives it a hard edge.
Yeah.
Are there other things that can lead to our biscuits having really hard edges?
Over holding them in the Mirko,
Okay.
too hot of an oven, not rotating them halfway through. Another thing that can cause a hard edge is if you have a center line and you keep them in that high density heating and not in the Mirko.
All right, is there a time limit on how long it can be in that center line?
We don't want them there for more than 10 minutes.
All right, let's look at the biscuits that we have that are finished. Oh,
Here you go.
these look great. How do I know what the right biscuit should look like when it comes to the color?
This is it. You can always find it on the quality photos as well to show the ideal color.
All right, and I hear that the troubleshooting guide is also going to have that information on there too. So I see here some not so pretty biscuits.
Correct.
What happened to these guys?
So this one has been held at dough longer than the 30 minutes. So you see it starts to get flat and kind of smooth on top. You don't have that nice texture.
Yeah, it looks a lot like our warm water biscuit.
Correct, yeah.
All right, what about this one? He looks really sad.
That one has too much rework, so it creates a very dense, heavy biscuit. You'll decrease your yield that way. You can start to see it pull and stretch as well.
These biscuits look beautiful. That's how you bake and hold them. And coming up, we're going to be talking about slicing biscuits. So we've gone through the entire process of making our biscuits today, and now we're going to talk about one of the most important steps when it comes to assembling, and that is slicing. Heidi, tell us about slicing.
Okay, so when we slice, we want to make sure we have a sharp serrated knife.
Okay.
And we want to cut directly in the middle. You don't want the bottom or the top to be thicker than any other.
All right, nice and centered.
Yes. So I don't want to hold it either because then I risk cutting myself. So I'm just going to put it on one of the flat edges and do a quick slicing motion.
Okay.
Pushing too hard will create a crumbly biscuit as well as excessive sawing.
All right, so that can lead to a crumbly biscuit. No excessive sawing. So as you can see, you can go through the entire process and make it perfect and then have it all fall apart right at the end when it comes to slicing. Thank you so much for sharing that. This has been such a great day. As you all know, we have been making biscuits since 1986, and we know how passionate our guests are about our biscuits. This recalibration of procedures and tools are vital for success. Shout out to Heidi, who has helped us recalibrate on those things. And all of these steps are important, as Heidi has showed us. And if you alter just one, it could affect the end product. The operational step-by-step procedures and the biscuit troubleshooting guide can be found on Pathway. Also, keep an eye out for that updated Biscuit Sidekick that will be auto-shipped to your restaurant. Biscuits take practice. Heidi is a professional at biscuit making because she practices. So leading up to the launch of these improvements, create a plan for training and implement the 3-step training process. Remember, that's demonstrate, imitate, and repeat. One final special thanks to Heidi, and thank you all so much for watching today.